Hi everybody, and shalom shalom, brothers and sisters. These are the references that I am going to be using in explaining the calendar that we find in the Word, as well as why we are to be observing from sunrise to sunrise. You can use whatever translation you want, and this is by Jeff A. Benner. And then we have the Book of Jubilees and the Book of Enoch. Okay, so what better way to start than in the beginning? This will be Genesis in some of your translations, depending on which one you're reading from. So let's go on and skip down to verse 14 to the fourth day. And Elohim said, "Let lights come to be in the expanse of the Shamayim, to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and appointed times, and for days, and years, and let them be for lights in the expanse of the Shamayim to give light on the earth, and it came to be so. And Elohim made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night and the stars. And Elohim placed them in the expanse of the Shamayim to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was Tov. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the fourth day." As you can see now, we are in the Book of Jubilees, chapter 2, and we're going to go over here to verse 8 on the fourth day. "And on the fourth day he created the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and placed them in the expanse of the Shamayim, to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth, for days, and for Shabbathoth, and for months, and for festivals, and for years, and for Shabbathoth of years, and for Yobelim, and for all seasons of the years. And it divides the light from the darkness for Tov, that all matters may thrive, sprout, and grow on the earth. These three kinds he made on the fourth day." As you can see, we are now in the book of Enoch, chapter 72, where it starts astronomy. "The book of the courses of the lights of the Shamayim, the relations of each, according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, the Kodesh messenger, who was with me, who is their guide, showed me. And he showed me all their laws, exactly as they are, and how it is with regard to all the years of the world, and unto everlasting, till the new creation is accomplished, which endures till everlasting. And this is the first law of the lights. The light, the sun, has its rising in the eastern portals of the Shamayim, and its going down in the western portals of the Shamayim. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun goes down, and the moon rises and goes down in these portals. And the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order, also many windows to the right and left of these portals. And first there goes forth the great light, named the sun, and its circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the Shamayim, and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to that portal and shines in the face of the Shamayim. In this way he rises in the first month, in the great portal, which is the fourth. And in that fourth portal, from which the sun rises in the first month, are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are opened in their season. When the sun rises in the Shamayim, he comes forth through that portal 30 mornings in succession and goes down exactly in the fourth portal in the west of the Shamayim. And during this period, the day becomes daily longer and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning. On that day, the day is longer than the night by a ninth part, and the day amounts to exactly to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that fourth portal and goes down in the fourth and returns to the fifth portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it and goes down in the fifth portal. And when the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts, and it returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal, and rises and goes down in the sixth portal 31 mornings, on account of its sign. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened and becomes 6 parts. And the sun mounts up to make the day shorter and the night longer, and the sun returns to the east and enters into the sixth portal, and rises from it and goes down 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part, and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that sixth portal in the west, and goes from the east, and rises in the fifth portal for 30 mornings, and goes down in the west again in the fifth western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts, and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from that fifth portal, and goes down in the fifth portal of the west, and rises in the fourth portal for 31 mornings, on account of its sign, and goes down in the west. On that day, the day is equalized with the night, and the night amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts. And the sun rises from that portal, and goes down in the west, and returns to the east, and rises 30 mornings in the third portal, and goes down in the west in the third portal. And on that day the night becomes longer than the day, and night becomes longer than night, and day shorter than day, till the 30th morning. And the night amounts exactly to 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that third portal, and goes down in the third portal in the west, and returns to the east, and for 30 mornings rises in the second portal in the east, in the same way goes down in the second portal in the west of the Shamayim. And on that day the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from that second portal, and goes down in the west in the second portal, and returns to the east into the first portal for 31 mornings, and goes down in the first portal in the west of the Shamayim. And on that day the night becomes longer, and amounts to the double of the day, and the night amounts exactly to 12 parts, and the day to 6. And the sun has transversed the divisions of its orbit, and turns again on those divisions of its orbit, and enters that portal 30 mornings, and goes down also in the west opposite to it. And on that night the night has decreased in length by a ninth part, and the night has become 11 parts, and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the second portal in the east, and returns on those its divisions of its orbit by 30 mornings, rising and going down. And on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal, and goes down in the west, and returns to the east, and rises in the third portal for 31 mornings, and goes down in the west of the Shamayim. On that day the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equalized to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days 364. And the length of the day, and of the night, and of the shortness of day, and of the night arise through the course of the sun. They are separated. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer, and its course nightly shorter. And this is the law and the course of the sun, and its return as often as he returns 60 times and rises, the great light, which is named the sun, forever and ever. And that which rises is the great light, and is so named according to its appearance, according as Yahweh commanded. As he rises, so he goes down, and does not decrease, and does not rest, but runs day and night, and its light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. And on to Enoch 73. And after this law, I saw another law dealing with the smaller light, which is named the moon. And her circumference is like the circumference of the Shamayim, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind. And light is given to her in measure. And her rising and going down change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun. And when her light is uniform, it amounts to the 7th part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. And on that day she becomes visible, and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun, in the portal where the sun rises. And the 1/2 of her goes forth by a 7th part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and the half thereof. And she goes down with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of 1 part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the beginning of the lunar day, the moon goes down with the sun, and is visible that night with the 14 parts and the half of 1 of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a 7th part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun, and in her remaining days she becomes bright in the 13 parts. Enoch 74. And I saw another course, a law for her, how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these Uriel, the Kodesh messenger, who is the leader of them all, showed me, and their positions. And I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights till 15 days were accomplished. In single 7th parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single 7th parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her going down, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon goes down with the sun, in those 2 middle portals, the 3rd and the 4th. She goes forth for 7 days, and turns about and returns again through the portal where the sun rises, and accomplishes all her light, and she recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the 6th portal from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the 4th portal, she goes forth 7 days, until she goes forth from the 5th and turns back again in 7 days, into the 4th portal, and accomplishes all her light. And she recedes and enters into the 1st portal in 8 days. and she returns again in 7 days into the fourth portal from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their position, how the moon rose and the sun went down in those days, and in 5 years are added together. The sun has an excess of 30 days, and all the days which increase to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And the excess of the sun and of the stars amounts to 6 days. In 5 years, 6 days every year come to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto everlasting, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, these days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. To the sum, there is 5 to be added and 62 days, and in 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon the days 6 in 8 years amounts to 2,832 days. For in 8 years she falls behind in the amount of 80 days. All the 17 days she falls behind in 8 years are 80. And the year is accurately completed in conformity with their world stations and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which it rises and goes down 30 days. Enoch 75. And the leaders of the heads of the thousands who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office according to the reckoning of the year. And these render service on the 4 days, which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year, and owing to them men go astray therein. For those lights truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal of the Shamayim, and one in the fourth portal, and one in the sixth portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its separate 364 stations. For the signs and the times and the years and the days the messenger Uriel showed to me, whom Yahweh of esteem has appointed forever over all the lights of the Shamayim, in the Shamayim and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the Shamayim and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and the night, the sun, moon, and stars, and all the ministering beings which make their revolution in all the chariots of the Shamayim. In the same way, 12 doors, Uriel showed me, open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the Shamayim, through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth when they are opened at their appointed times. And the 4 winds and the spirit of the dew, when they are opened, standing open in the Shamayim at the ends. As for the 12 portals in the Shamayim at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of the Shamayim in the east and in the west. There are many windows open to the left and to the right of them, and one window at its appointed time produces warmth, corresponding to the doors from which the stars come forth, according as he has commanded them, and wherein they are placed corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in the Shamayim running in the world above those portals in which revolve the stars that never go down, and one is larger than all the rest, and it is that which makes its course through the entire world. Enoch 76. And at the ends of the earth I saw 12 portals open to all the quarters from which the winds go forth and blow over the earth. 3 of them are open on the face of the Shamayim, and 3 in the west, and 3 on the right of the Shamayim, and 3 on the left. And the 3 first are those of the east, and 3 are of the north, and 3 after those on the left of the south, and 3 on the west. Through 4 of these come winds of barakah and prosperity, and from those 8 come hurtful winds. When they are sent, they bring destruction on all the earth, and on the water upon it, and on all who dwell upon it, and on all which are in the water, and on the land. And the first wind from those portals, called the east wind, comes forth through the first portal, which is in the east, inclining towards the south. From it come forth desolation, drought, heat, and destruction. And through the second portal in the middle comes what is fitting, and from it there comes rain, and fruitfulness, and prosperity, and dew. And through the third portal, which lies toward the north, come cold and drought. After these come forth the south winds through 3 portals. Through the first portal of them, inclining to the east, comes forth a hot wind. And through the middle portal, next to it, there come forth fragrant smells, and dew, and rain, and prosperity, and health. And through the third portal, lying to the west, come forth dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. And after these, the north winds. From the 7th portal in the east come dew and rain, locusts, and desolation. And from the middle portal come in a direct direction health and rain and dew and prosperity. And through the third portal in the west come cloud and frost and snow and rain and dew and locusts. And after these 4 are the west winds. Through the first portal adjoining to the north come forth dew and frost and cold and snow and ice. And from the middle portal come forth dew and rain and prosperity and barakah. And through the last portal which adjoins the south come forth drought and desolation and burning and destruction. And the 12 portals of the 4 quarters of the Shamayim are completed, and all their laws and all their plagues and all their goodness have I shown to you, my son Methuselah. Enoch 77. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first, and the second the south, because the Most High will descend there. Even there, in quite a special sense, will he who is Baruch forever descend. And the west quarter is named the diminished, because there all the lights of the Shamayim diminish and go down. And the 4th quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. The first of them is for the dwelling of men, and the second contains seas of water, and the abysses, and forests, and rivers, and darkness, and clouds. And the third part contains the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 high mountains, higher than all the mountains which are on the earth, and from there comes forth frost, and days, seasons, and years pass away. I saw 7 rivers on the earth, larger than all the rivers. One of them, coming from the west, pours its waters into the great sea. And these 2 come from the south to the sea, and pour their waters into the eastern sea in the east. And the remaining 4 come forth on the side of the north to their own sea, 2 of them to the eastern sea, and 2 into the great sea, and discharge themselves there. And some say into the desert. 7 great islands I saw in the sea and in the mainland, 2 in the mainland, and 5 in the great sea. Enoch 78. And the names of the sun are the following. The first, Ariares, and the second, Taoma. And the moon has 4 names. The first name is Sonia, the second, Avla, the third, Benase, and the fourth, Elei. These are the 2 great lights. Their circumference is like the circumference of the Shamaim, and the size of the circumference of both is alike. In the circumference of the sun, there are 7 portions of light, which are added to it more than to the moon, and in definite measures it is transferred till the 7th portion of the sun is exhausted. And they go down and enter the portals of the west, and make their revolution by the north, and come forth through the eastern portals on the face of the Shamaim. And when the moon rises, 1/14th part appears in the Shamaim. The light becomes full in her on the 14th day she accomplishes her light, and 15 parts of light are transferred to her till the 15th day her light is accomplished, according to the sign of the year, and she becomes 15 parts, and the moon grows by 14th parts. And in her diminishing, decreases on the first day to 14 parts of her light on the second, to 13 parts of light on the third, to 12 on the fourth, to 11 on the fifth, to 10 on the sixth, to 9 on the seventh, to 8 on the 8th, to 7 on the 9th, to 6 on the 10th, to 5 on the 11th, to 4 on the 12th, to 3 on the 13th, to 2 on the 14th, to the half of a 7th, and all her remaining light disappears wholly on the 15th. And in certain months, the month has 29 days, and once 28. And Uriel showed me another law, when light is transferred to the moon, and on which side it is transferred to her by the sun, during all the period during which the moon is growing in her light, she is transferring it to herself. When opposite to the sun, during 14 days her light is accomplished in the Shamaim, and when she is illuminated throughout, her light is accomplished full in the Shamaim. And on the first day she is called the new moon, for on that day the light rises upon her. She becomes full moon exactly on the day when the sun goes down in the west, and from the east she rises at night, and the moon shines the whole night through till the sun rises over against her, and the moon is seen over against the sun. On the side where the light of the moon comes forth, there again she diminishes till all the light vanishes, and all the days of the month are at an end, and her circumference is empty, void of light. And 3 months she makes of 30 days, and at her time she makes 3 months of 29 days each, in which she accomplishes her diminishing in the first period of time, and in the first portal for 177 days. And in the time of her going out, she appears for 3 months, 30 days each, and for 3 months she appears 29 each. At night she appears like a man for 20 days each, and by day she appears like the Shamaim, and there is none else in her save her light. Enoch 79. And now, my son, I have shown you all matters, and the law of all the stars of the Shamaim is completed. And he showed me all the laws of these for every day, and for every season of bearing rule, and for every year, and for its going forth, and for the order prescribed to it every month and every week, and the diminishing of the moon, which takes place in the sixth portal, for in this sixth portal her light is accomplished. And after that there is the beginning of the diminishing, which takes place in the first portal in its season till 177 days are accomplished, reckoned according to weeks, 25 and 2 days. She falls behind the sun and the order of the stars exactly 5 days in the course of one period, and when this place which you see has been traversed. Such is the picture and sketch of every light which Uriel the chief messenger, who is their leader, showed me. Enoch 80. And in those days the messenger Uriel answered and said to me, See, I have shown you all matters, Enoch, and I have revealed all to you that you should see this sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the Shamayim, and all those who turn them, their task, and times and departures. And in the days of the sinners the years shall be shortened, and their seed shall be late on their lands and fields, and all on the earth shall alter, and shall not appear in their time, and the rain shall be kept back, and the Shamayim shall withhold. And in those times the fruits of the earth shall be backward, and shall not grow in their time, and the fruits of the trees shall be withheld in their time. And the moon shall alter her order, and not appear at her time. And in those days the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great chariot in the west, and shall shine more brightly than accordance with the order of light. And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them, and they shall be altered from all their ways, and they shall go astray and take them to be mighty ones. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them so as to destroy all. Enoch 81. And he said to me, Observe, Enoch, these tablets of the Shamayim, and read what is written upon them, and mark every individual fact. And I observed the tablets of the Shamayim, and read all which was written, and understood all matters, and read the book of all the deeds of mankind, and of all the children of flesh that should be upon the earth to the remotest generations. And immediately I barak the great Adon, the sovereign of esteem forever, in that he has made all the works of the world. And I exalted Yahweh because of his patience, and barak him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Baruch is the man who dies in righteousness, and Tovim, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. And those 7 Kodashim brought me and placed me on the earth before the door of my house, and said to me, Declare all matters to your son Methuselah, and show to all your children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of Yahweh, for he is their creator. 1 year we shall leave you with your son till you give your commands, that you may teach your children and record for them, and witness to all your children. And in the 2nd year they shall take you from their midst. Let your heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, and shall offer congratulations to one another. But the sinners shall die with the sinners, and the backslider go down with the backslider. And those who practice righteousness shall die on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away on account of the doings of the wicked. And in those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, giving barakah to the Adon of the world. Enoch 82. And now my son Methuselah, All these I am recounting to you and writing down for you, and I have revealed to you all matters, and given you books concerning all these. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the books from your father's hand, and deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to you and to your children, and your children that shall be unto you, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom that passes their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat of it better than tov food. Baruch are all the righteous, Baruch are all those who walk in the way of righteousness, and do not sin as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the Shamayim, entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days, with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars together, with the 4 which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Owing to them, men shall be at fault and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Also, men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately, for they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded forever, one in the first portal, and one in the third, and one in the fourth, and one in the 6th, and the year is completed in 364 days, and the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact. For the lights and months and festivals and years and days has Uriel showed and revealed to me, to whom the Adon of the whole creation of the world has subjected the hosts of the Shamayim. And he has power over night and day in the Shamayim, to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the Shamayim which revolve in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars which go down in their places, and in their appointed times and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who watch that they enter at their times, in their orders, in their seasons, in their months, and in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. Their 4 leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year enter first, and after them the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months, and for the 360 there are heads over thousands who divide the days, and for the 4 intercalary days there are the leaders which divide the 4 parts of the year. And these heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Malkiel, Alamelech, and Melekiel, and Yael. And the names of those who lead them: Adnarel, and Yasusael, and Elomiel. And these 3 follow the leaders of the orders. And there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders, which follow those leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Melekiel rises first and rules, who is named Tamani, and Shemesh, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on the earth in the days of his dominion: sweat, and heat, and calms. And all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field. But the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Berachiel, Zelebseel, and another who is added, a head of 1,000, called Kirluyasef. And the days of the dominion of this are at an end. The next leader after him is Chelemelech, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of days on the earth, glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits, and produce all their fruits ripe and ready. And the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and all that is in the fields and the winepress, these take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders of the leaders of those heads of 1,000, Gedaliah, Geiel, and Chiel, and the name of the head of the 1,000 which is added to them, Asphael, and the days of his dominion are at an end. Jubilees chapter 6. And on the new moon of the 3rd month he went out from the ark, and built an altar on the mountain. And he made an atonement for the earth, and took a young goat, and made atonement with its blood for all the guilt of the earth, for all that had been on it had been destroyed, except those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat of it on the altar, and he took a bull, and a goat, and a male goat, and salt, and a turtle dove, and the young pigeon, and placed a burnt offering on the altar, and poured an offering on it mixed with oil, and sprinkled wine, and spread frankincense over all, and caused a sweet fragrance to arise, acceptable before Yahweh. And Yahweh smelled the sweet fragrance, and he made a covenant with him that there should no longer be a flood to destroy the earth, that all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, should never cease. Cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night should not change their order, nor cease forever. And you increase and multiply upon the earth, and become numerous upon it, and be a barakah upon it. The fear of you and the dread of you I shall inspire in all that is on the earth and in the sea. And see, I have given to you all beasts, and all flying creatures, and all that moves on the earth, and the fish in the waters, and all matters for food, as the green plants. I have given you all matters to eat. But flesh, with its life, with the blood, you shall not eat. For the life of all flesh is in the blood, lest your blood of your lives be required. At the hand of every man, at the hand of every beast, I shall require the blood of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim he made man, and you increase and multiply on the earth. And Noah and his sons swore that they would not eat any blood that was in any flesh. And he made a covenant before Yahweh Elohim forever, throughout all the generations of the earth in this month. And on this account he spoke to you, that you should make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that you should sprinkle blood upon them, because of all the words of the covenant which Yahweh made with them forever. And this witness is written concerning you, that you should observe it continually, so that you should not eat on any day any blood of beasts or birds or cattle during all the days of the earth. And the man who eats the blood of beasts or of cattle or of birds during all the days of the earth, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. And you shall command the children of Israel not to eat no blood, so that their names and their seed may be before Yahweh our Elohim continually. And for this law there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue atonement on your behalf with blood before the altar every day, and at the time of morning and evening they shall seek forgiveness on your behalf continually before Yahweh, that they may keep it and not be rooted out. And he gave to Noah and his sons a sign that there should not be a flood on the earth again. He placed his rainbow in the cloud for a sign of the everlasting covenant, that there should not be a flood again on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. For this reason, it is ordained and written on the tablets of the Shamaim that they should celebrate the festival of Shavuot in this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year. And this whole festival was celebrated in the Shamaim from the day of creation till the days of Noah, 26 Yovelim and 5 weeks of years. And Noah and his sons observed it for 7 Yovelim and 1 week of years to the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death his sons forsook it until the days of Avraham. And they ate blood, for Avraham observed it. And Yitzchak and Yaakov and his children observe it up to your days. And in your days the children of Israel forgot it until you celebrated it anew on this mountain. And you shall command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations for a command unto them 1 day in the year In this month they shall celebrate the festival, for it is the festival of Shavuot, and the feast of firstfruits. This feast is twofold and of a double nature, according to what is written and engraved concerning it, celebrate it. For I have written in the book of the first Torah, in that which I have written for you, that you should celebrate it in its season, one day in the year, and I explained to you its slaughterings, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generations, in this month, one day in every month. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a witness forever. And Noach ordained them for himself as festivals for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial to him. And on the new moon of the first month he was told to make an ark. And on that day the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And on the new moon of the 4th month the mouths of the depths of the abysses beneath were opened. And on the new moon of the 7th month all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new moon of the 10th month the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noach was glad. And on account of this he ordained them for himself as festivals for a memorial forever. And thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the tablets of the Shamaim. Each had 13 weeks. Their memorial passed from one to another, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the command shall be 52 weeks of days, and these shall make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraved and ordained on the tablets of the Shamaim, and there is no neglecting this command for a single year, or from year to year. And you shall command the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days. And these shall constitute a complete year, and they shall not disturb its time, for its days and for its festivals, for all shall fall out in them according to their witness, and they shall not leave out any day nor disturb any festivals. But if they neglect and do not observe them according to his command, they shall disturb all their seasons, and the years shall be dislodged from this order, and they shall neglect their laws. And all the children of Israel shall forget, and shall not find the path of the years, and shall forget the new moons, and seasons, and Shabbathot, and they shall go astray as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from this time on I shall declare it to you, and it is not of my own devising, for the book is written before me, and on the tablets of the Shamaim the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the festivals of the covenant, and walk according to the festivals of the Gentiles, after their straying and after their ignorance. For there shall be those who shall assuredly make observations of the moon. Now it disturbs the seasons, and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason the year shall come upon them, when they shall disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of witness, and an unclean day a feast day, and they shall confuse all the days, the Kodesh with the unclean, and the unclean day with the Kodesh, for they shall go astray as to the months, and Shabbathot, and festivals, and Yobelim. For this reason I command and witness to you, that you may witness to them. For after your death your children shall confuse them, so that they shall not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they shall go astray as to the new moons, and seasons, and Shabbathot, and festivals, and they shall eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. So we have Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter 7, verse 11, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month. And this is going to be the first time we see Bachodesh Hashani, which is in month the 2nd. It's what that literally translates to. Bachodesh, in month, Hashani, the 2nd. This is the first time we see Chodesh in Scripture. So that is Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter 7, verse 11. And we are still in Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter 37, verse 9. And he dreamed still another dream, and related it to his brothers, and said, See, I have dreamed another dream, and see, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me. If you go over to the Ivrit, let's go to Hashemesh. So the sun, the Hayareach, and this is the first mention, this is the first time you'll see moon in Scripture, and moon is Yareach. So that Veha, that's and the moon, Vehareach, and that is Hashemesh. So the first time we see moon is Yareach here in Bereshit, or Genesis 37, verse 9. Now we're going to find ourselves in Shemoth, or Exodus, chapter 2. And a man of the house of Lewi went and married a daughter of Yehweh. And the woman conceived and bore a son, and she saw that he was a lovely child, and she hid him 3 months. Now, they are in Egypt here, and this is the first time. We come over here to verse 2. We're going to see Shlosha Yerachim. This is the first time in Scripture we're going to see Yerachim, moons, used for months. And notice, if you read chapter 1 of here, and it came to be, because the midwives served Elohim, that he provided hasfold for him, and Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Throw every son who was born into the river, and keep them alive, every daughter. So this is where they were throwing every Hebrew son into the river in Egypt. So the first mention of months in Egypt, while they are in Egypt, is right here in chapter 2, Yerachim, where they use moons for months. Shlosha Yerachim, for 3 months. Alrighty, so now we're still in Shemoth, or Exodus, chapter 12, and we're about to see the Father set us straight all over again. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This month is the beginning of months for you. It is the first month of the year for you. And over in the Ivrit, we can see HaChodesh, Rosh Chodeshim, L'Chodeshei Hashanah. So we can see it goes back to Chodesh, or the head. It goes to the true month and not the Yerachim, where back in here in Egypt, we were using the moon. He sets us straight, we celebrate Pesach, and then you know the rest of the story. And so far, I am currently in Yehoshua chapter 18, or Joshua chapter 18, and what I did mentions of month, moon, and new moon. This is obviously not an extensive list, but I do believe I have every mention of month, moon, and new moon. What I would do if I read month, moon, or new moon over here, I would look and see what word they use over here, whether Chodesh or Yerachim. Now, I might have missed one or two. I do not think I did, but if I did, feel free to look at these references and check. I did want to go through Scripture and find them all. However, I slacked. I didn't prioritize it high enough. I'm currently in, I think on this particular thing, Joshua 18. For me personally, I saw enough to be convinced that we don't use the moon. It specifically says it directly from the Word, and I saw enough proof to see where we were literally in bondage when it got messed up and stuff. So I've seen enough. That's another reason I kind of slacked. But anywho, here's in case anybody wants to check. You can see I got Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Joshua. I'm currently in Joshua 18, but you can see the last one I saw was in chapter, actually I think that's 10, 12, 13. Yeah, that'll be verse 13. So what I did the chapter and then the verse, and when it had multiple verses, I'd do that, and if it was a new chapter, I would just mark that. So see, chapter 3, and then the next chapter it started mentioning anything was in 9, for like Bemidbar, for instance. And that's kind of how you go by this, if any of y'all want to go check and see if I missed any places. And now we're back in Bereshit, or Genesis again, and let he who has ears hear what the Ruach HaKodesh has to say concerning the dawn being the beginning of the day. Let's go ahead and jump right in. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, "Let light come to be." And light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was Tov. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, day one. So we see here, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning. So what did that come from? Back here, we see the Ruach of Elohim moving on the face of the waters. We see Elohim said, "Let light come to be," and then light came to be. We see Elohim saw the light, that it was Tov. And we see Elohim separate the light from the darkness. And we see Elohim name the light day. We see he called the light day, and the darkness he calls night. So before this, when it was formless, empty, and darkness was on the face, the Ruach of Elohim moving said, "Light come to be." So he's creating, saying, and doing things back here. And then there came to be evening, there came to be morning, day one. And we can see how the day cycle works. There came to be evening, and there came to be morning. So we know something was before evening here going into that, because immediately that next morning, he's working again. Elohim's working again. And Elohim said, "Let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And we can see him making the expanse and calling the expanse Shamayim. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning the second day. And Elohim said, "Let the waters under the Shamayim." So we can see immediately he's going all the way until thus the Shamayim and the earth were completed in all their way. And on the seventh day Elohim completed his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim baraka the seventh day, and made it Kodesh, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made. These are the births of the Shamayim and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made earth and Shamayim. And this is where I honestly believe chapter 1 should end, if you're going to do chapter and verses, and I believe that chapter 2 should start here. But anywho, what do I know? But back over here, he created that. And you can see this. Look, Bereshit bara Elohim et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. So in beginning created Elohim, Aleph and the Tav. Who's the Aleph and the Tav? The light of the world, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, Aleph and the Tav. In beginning created Elohim et, before even the Shamayim, ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. So we can see the nail. We know that the stake, the nail, Messiah, he was slain before the foundations of the earth were laid. Haaretz, the land or the earth. So created, Elohim was created during the dawn all the way to evening and morning going into the next day. Creating at the dawn from the beginning of that. And if you look here, check this out. I will take the old Kuf. The older Kuf is a sun. When the sun is like half at the horizon, that's when they did dawn. Let me flip over to it. Hold on. So we got, in ancient times, in ancient Hebrew, a kuf was a sun at the horizon. This is a picture of the sun at the horizon where the light is concentrated at this point while the rest of the sky is dark. And that's also why at evening it's like, why they call it Elev. Come, the coming together of the light, Hebrew kuf. The Hebrew name for this letter is kuf, meaning circling of the sun around the earth. Condense. When the sun is at the horizon, the light is condensed at the horizon. This letter can also mean to circle. See? Isn't that cool? Now we're in Shemoth, or Exodus, chapter 16. And they departed from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, and the 15th day of the second month after their going out of the land of Mitzrayim, And all the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, If only we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to satisfaction. For you have brought us out into the wilderness, to put all this assembly to death with hunger. And Yahweh said to Moshe, See, I am raining bread from the Shamayim for you. And the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them, whether they walk in my Torah or not. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, At evening you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and in the morning you shall see the esteem of Yahweh, for he hears your grumblings against Yahweh. And what are we that you grumble against us? And Moshe said, And that Yahweh gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction. And Moshe said, In that Yahweh gives you meat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction. For Yahweh hears your grumblings which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Yahweh. And Moshe and Aaron said to Aaron, Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your grumblings. And it came to be, as Aaron spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and see, the esteem of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, I heard the grumblings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, Between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to be that quails came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp, and the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. And the children of Israel saw, and they said to each other, What is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, It is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the word which Yahweh has commanded, that every man gather it according to each one's need, an omer for each being, according to the number of beings that every man take for those who are in his tent. And the Elohim of Israel did so, and gathered some more, some less. And they measured it by omers, and he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered according to his need. And Moshe said, Let no one leave any of it until morning. Let no one leave any of it until morning. And they did not listen to Moshe, so some of them left part of it until morning. And it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, each one according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted. And it came to be on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said to them, This is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Shabbathot Kodesh to Yahweh. Take which you bake, that which you bake, bake, and that which you cook, cook, and lay up for yourselves all that is left over to keep it until morning. And they laid it up till morning, as Moshe commanded, and it did not stink, and no worm was in it. And Moshe said, Eat it today, for today is a Shabbat to Yahweh. Today you do not find it in the field. Gather it 6 days, but on the 7th day, which is the Shabbat, there is none. And it came to be that some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather, but they found none. And Yahweh said to Moshe, How long shall you refuse to guard my commands and my Torot? See, because Yahweh has given you this Shabbat, therefore he is giving you bread for 2 days on the 6th day. Let each one stay in his place. Do not let anyone go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day, and the house of Yisrael called its name Manna. And it was like white coriander seed, and the taste of it was like thin cakes made with honey. And Moshe said, "This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Fill an omer with it, and keep for your generations, so that they see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness when I brought you out of the land of Mizraim." And Moshe said to Aaron, "Take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and put it down before Yahweh to keep for your generations. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so Aaron put it down before the witness to keep. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. And an omer is 1/10 of an ephah." And you can see 17. So we see back here, it's pretty clear in this one. I don't even really think I need to continue to go anymore, but I mean, we can. There's others. But study this for yourself. If you still are not convinced that the dawn is the morning after this one, I don't mind going through some more, but study this for yourself. The day begins at dawn. Wayikra, or Leviticus 23. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, the appointed times of Yahweh, which you are to proclaim as Kodesh gatherings. My appointed times are these. 6 days work is done, but the 7th day is a Shabbat of rest, a Kodesh gathering. You do no work. It is a Shabbat to Yahweh in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahweh, Kodesh gatherings, which you are to proclaim at their appointed times. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between the evenings, is the Pesach, or Passover, to Yahweh. On the 15th day of this month is the festival of Matzot to Yahweh. 7 days you eat unleavened bread. On the first day you have a Kodesh gathering. You do no servile work. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh for 7 days. On the 7th day is a Kodesh gathering. You do no servile work. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits to your harvest to the Kohen, and he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh for your acceptance on the morrow after the Shabbat the Kohen waves it. And on that day, when you wave the sheaf, you shall prepare a male lamb, a year old, a perfect one, as a burnt offering to Yahweh. And its grain offering, 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, a sweet fragrance, and its drink offering, 1/4 of a hin of wine. And you do not eat bread or roasted grain or fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your Elohim, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, you shall count for yourselves 7 completed Shabbathot. Until the morrow after the 7th Shabbath, you count 50 days. Then you shall bring a new grain offering. Bring from your dwellings for a wave offering 2 of bread of 2/10 parts of fine flour. They are baked with leaven, first fruits to Yahweh. And besides the bread, you shall bring 7 lambs a year old, perfect ones, and 1 young bull and 2 rams. They are burnt offerings to Yahweh, with their grain offerings and their drink offerings, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And you shall offer 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs a year old as a peace offering. And the Kohen shall wave them, besides the bread of the first fruits, as a wave offering before Yahweh, beside the 2 lambs. They are Kodesh to Yahweh for the Kohen. And on this same day you shall proclaim a Kodesh gathering for yourselves. You do no servile work on it, a law forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field when you reap. And do not gather any gleaning from your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am Yahweh your Elohim, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you have a rest, a remembrance of blowing of trumpets, a Kodesh gathering. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, On the 10th day of this 7th month is Yom HaKippurim. It shall be a Kodesh gathering for you, and you shall afflict your beings, and shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And you do no work on that same day, for it is Yom Kippurim, to make atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. For any being who is not afflicted on that same day, he shall be cut off from his people. And any being who does any work on that same day, that being I shall destroy from the midst of the people. You do no work, a law forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It is a Shabbat of rest to you, and you shall afflict your beings on the 9th day of the month at evening. From evening to evening you observe your Shabbat. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th month is a festival of Sukkot for 7 days to Yahweh. On the 1st day is a Kodesh gathering. You do no servile work. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. On the 8th day there shall be a Kodesh gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. These are the appointed times to Yahweh, which you proclaim as Kodesh gatherings, to bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh, and burnt offering and a grain offering, a slaughter and a drink offering, as commanded for every day, besides the Shabbathot of Yahweh, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and besides all your voluntary offerings which you give to Yahweh. On the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather in the fruit of the land, celebrate the festival of Yahweh for 7 days. On the 1st day is a rest, and on the 8th day a rest. And you shall take for yourselves on the 1st day the fruit of good trees, branches of palm trees, twigs of leafy greens, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim for 7 days. And you shall celebrate it as a festival to Yahweh for 7 days in the year, a law forever in your generations. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native Yisraelites dwell in booths, so that your generations know that I made the children of Yisrael dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Thus did Moshe speak of the appointed times of Yahweh to the children of Yisrael. So we can see after reading all of chapter 23 that the only 2 feasts that mention evenings, that are specific to evenings, are from verse 27, Yom HaKippurim. Read down to, it is on the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening. So on the 9th day at evening, it's important to know that the morning begins at dawn. Morning, day, dawn. Evening, that way we can observe it properly. 9th day at evening to the evening of the 10th. And then, of course, the first one we're going to come across each year is going to be Pesach on the 14th day, between the evenings of the 14th day, which is going to go into the festival of Matzot, again, unleavened bread. Malachi chapter 1, verse 11. For from the rising of the sun even to its going down, my name is great among nations, and in every place incense is presented to my name, and a clean offering, for my name is great among nations, said Yahweh of hosts. Tehillim, or Psalms 19, to the chief singer, a psalm of David. The Shamaim are proclaiming the esteem of El, and the expanse is declaring the works of his hand. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. There is no speech, and there are no words. The voice is not heard. Their line has gone out throughout all the earth, and the words to the end of the world. In them he put up a tent for the sun, and it is like a bridegroom coming out of his room. It rejoices like a strong man to run the path. Its rising is from one end of the Shamaim, and its circuit to the other end, and naught is hidden from its heat. The Torah of Yahweh is perfect, bringing back the being. The witness of Yahweh is trustworthy, making wise the simple. The orders of Yahweh are straight, rejoicing the heart. The command of Yahweh is clear, enlightening the eyes. The reverence of Yahweh is clean, standing forever. The right rulings of Yahweh are true, they are righteous altogether, more desirable than gold, than much fine gold, and sweeter than honey and the honeycomb. Also, your servant is warned by them. In guarding them there is great reward. Who discerns mistakes? Declare me innocent from those that are secret. Also, keep your servant back from presumptuous ones. Do not let them rule over me. Then shall I be perfect and innocent of great transgressions. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing before you, O Yahweh, my rock and my redeemer. Tehillim 113. Hallelujah! Praise, O servants of Yahweh! Praise the name of Yahweh! Baruch be the name of Yahweh, now and forever. From the rising of the sun to its going down, the name of Yahweh is praised. Yahweh is high above all nations, his esteem above the Shamayim. Who is like Yahweh our Elohim? Who is enthroned on high? He looks down on the Shamayim and in the earth. He raises the poor out of the dust, lifts the needy from the dunghill, to make him sit with the nobles of his people, causing the barren to dwell in a house, a rejoicing mother of children. Hallelujah! Kohelet, or Ecclesiastes. The words of Kohelet, son of David, sovereign of Yerushalayim. Futility, futility, says Kohelet. Futility, futility, all is futile. What does man gain from all his labor in which he toils under the sun? A generation passes away and a generation comes, but the earth stands forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes, and hurries back to the place where it arose, going to the south and turning round to the north, turning, and on its rounds the wind returns. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea never overflows. To the place from which the rivers come, there they return again. All matters are wearisome, no one is able to speak of it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what shall be, what has been done is what shall be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a matter of which it is said, see, this is new? It was here already, long ago. There is no remembrance of former ones, nor is there any remembrance of those that are to come by those who come later on. I, Kohelet, was sovereign over Israel and Yerushalayim, and I applied my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that has been done under the Shamayim. This evil task Elohim has given to the sons of man, to be humbled by it. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and see, all was futile and feeding on wind. The crooked could not be straightened, and what is lacking could not be counted. So I spoke to my heart, saying, see, I have attained greatness, and I have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Yerushalayim, and my heart has seen much wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I know that this too is feeding on wind, for in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases suffering. And now we're in Matityahu, or Matthew 28. Now after the Shabbat, toward dawn, on one of the Shabbathoth, Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. And see, there was a great earthquake, for a messenger of Yahweh came down out of the Shamayim and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat on it. So pay attention to the timing, and it's going to be worded probably a little different depending on what translation you read it out of. Now after the Shabbat, toward dawn, on one of the Shabbathoth. Maaseh, or Acts, chapter 20, going to start in verse 6. And we sailed away from Philippos after the days of Matzot, days of unleavened bread, and came to them at Troas in 5 days, where we stayed 7 days. And on one of the Shabbathot, the Talmudim having gathered together to break bread, Shaul, intending to depart the next day, was reasoning with them and was extending the word till midnight. And there were many lamps in the upper room where they were assembled. And a certain young man by the name Eutychus, or Eutychos, it's going to be Eutychus in some of your translations, was sitting at a window being overpowered by a deep sleep. And so, this story gets me. And Shaul kept on reasoning. He was overcome by sleep and fell down from the 3rd story and was picked up dead. And Shaul, having gone down, fell on him and embraced him, said, do not be upset, for his life is for his life is in him. Then going up again, and having broken bread and eaten, he talked a long while, even till daybreak, and so went forth. Might say morning in some of your translations. Morning, might say morning, beginning of the day. And they brought the young man in alive, and were encouraged not a little. And I do find it comical. I love Eutychus. I love that story just because it says so much there, and it's like puts to death the lies and the inherited lies, and wake up in the morning, rise in the morning. And we, going ahead to the ship, sailed to Assos, intended to take Shaul on board there, for so he had arranged, intending himself to go on foot. But yes, I love this story. I've always loved this story, even before, I think I loved this story even before I knew Torah was Torah and stuff. And I always found it, I was like, wow, dude was sleeping and fell out. Oh, man. Anywho, yeah, I love Eutychus. I love Eutychus, and I think he can help a lot of us, and a lot of people, just from him falling. He can help a lot of people even then, as we read about him here, to know that it's morning. The day starts at dawn. The morning is at dawn. And it's time we get this right. So with everything we had read, as I was trying to figure it out and study it, I had started at the Gregorian April 2nd, 2022 at 23:10, which is 11:10 p.m. And I started just observing sun, moon, and stars. I did at the time, because I was observing the moon, I started at the crescent on this day, which I can show you now. I'll show you in an app. Okay, so we are currently in an app called Stellarium, and what we're looking at right here is Virgo, and that is the Spica star you see right there. But there was a time when this constellation was known as Bethula, and that star Spica right there was known as Aviv. So what I did when I started my count, I started, because if you can see when this rose in the east, I observed that. And at the time, I was currently going by the crescent moon, and you can see it is setting right here with the sun. Let me bring this back up. You can see it was setting with the sun. So that is when I started my count, back with what you just saw in that notebook. As I was taking scripture and learning this, I started my count there. And more is going to become clear to you as we go through this. I also want to take this time to mention, since we're in here and I started the count here, the Ark of Arcturus. If you ever get into this, you'll see it goes from there to Arcturus and then to the tail end of Katan Seon, or actually that's Gadol Seon, which is the big lamb known as the Big Dipper today. And then it hits up with Polaris, the North Star, or Katan Seon, which is known as the Little Dipper today. And since we're on this, let's back off a little bit, because some of you might not know this yet. Let's speed up time. Well, let's do it this way. And we'll see that the stars, just like it says in Enoch, rise in the east, with the sun and everything, sets in the west, and it's a giant clock. We have a giant clock with Abba's lights. Now you can stop it. They're so precise. You will see a little warble in this because it is based on a globe and it's based on the 365 Gregorian calendar. So what I'm about to show you, you're going to see a little warble. But let's just stop. Let's pick a random day. Let's go to today. We're going to go to today, which is 4/6/2024. Let me pause this. Let's find where the sun, we got the sun and the moon right here. Now watch. We're only going to control the year. I'm going to go up on the year, and the only thing you're going to see move right now, the sun and the stars are going to remain the same, but you will see the moon and the wandering stars, which are known as planets today. You're about to see those moons. You're about to see those move, but everything else is going to remain the same. Now we're going to go up to 2025, 2026, 2027, 28. And you can see I'm just clicking on the years. And that slight movement of the stars is only because of that extra day in the leap years they have on the calendar of the Gregorian. But when you actually observe this with your own eyes, it's not going to do that. But each day has its own star picture. Let's go by day now. You'll see them shift just slightly. So we're going to go from the 6th to the 7th to the 8th. And you can see each day at the same time. Every single day has its very own star picture if it's something that you're fascinated in and want to measure. It is so very precise. That means every 52 Shabbats will have its very own star picture. Every day out of the 364 days will have its very own star picture. You can see we're increasing the days. Now, if we do months, there's going to be a bigger jump, obviously. So let's go from the 4th month to the 5th month. From the 5th month to the 6th month. From the 6th month to the 7th month. From the 7th month to the 8th month. And you see how much by the month we change like that. But as far as the years, not moving. Only the moon and those wandering stars. And as far as the days, you'll just see that little bit of moving. And that's something if you want to measure that. These are basically my astronomy apps that I use. I do not use mooncalc.org or the Flat Earth Clock as much as Stellarium and Flat Earth Pro, but let's bring up Flat Earth Pro. I bring this up to show you Stellarium and so that you can also use Flat Earth Pro as well. This is what we're looking at right now, 12/17/2024. And that way you can do this. You can zoom in on it, and it kind of just shows you how everything works. And it even has the moon coming to the sun as you watch it each day. They did a really good job with it. But yeah, I do recommend this one as well. So with everything we read, I began recording the days and observing everything to figure out how to structure all of what we read. And of course, I started by the moon, so this isn't going to be accurate at first, but you're going to see how awesome it is and how precise Father's calendar is and how easy it is to make corrections just by using the word as filtering everything through a word. You'll see how easy it is to adjust everything. So you can see the starting date, as I showed you in the previous parts of the video. That's when I recorded it, and every day I'd wake up, I'd record the day, I'd wait till sunset, record the night. Little asterisks are going to be every 7 days as Shabbat. You can see the feast day here. Evening of the 14th we know is Pesach. And counting of the Omer over here, Shavuot and everything. Right here you can see where I couldn't tell if it was the end of the first moon and the beginning of the second yet. So that's what I was recording there. I just continued on over, counting. Counting, observing, watching, studying, learning. And then on the 151st day of the year, I don't know if it was the day or the night when I did it, but I know 151st day, 151st night, 6th moon, 14th day of that moon, that little mark right here, I come up here, and I had seen a video by We Are Chosen, which is a sister. She posted it. She goes by the Zadok calendar, and in her video, it was the 19th Shabbat day, which I know from the word that the 19th Shabbat is always going to be the 133rd day of the year. So why didn't it line up with mine? So I had to reference the day I saw the video, 151, with the Gregorian date that she posted the video. So the following day, after matching everything up, I found that I was 12 days off. Because in her video, she talked about using a nail for, instance, the straight line shadow, because 2 days out of the year, in the spring and in the fall, you can get a straight line shadow when the day and the night are equal. And so, what do we know? I don't know how I got those 2 extra days in there, because the moon falls 10 days behind every year, which you can look at that. I'm 12 days off. 12 days off. So I begin recording. What you see in parentheses here is the Zadok. Because I've never personally witnessed the straight line shadow. I've tried measuring it, but I don't know if I got the days right and stuff. So I kept observing, kept looking, kept recording, which puts us all the way over to today, which currently, the day that I'm recording this, with all of this, 262, 9th moon, 16th day of the moon, 274th day of the year. Okay, so taking everything from Scripture, as well as everything we can readily observe from Scripture in creation, we know that there are 364 days, which is a multiple of 7. 7 times 52 is 364, giving us 52 weekly Shabbats. Day 7 will be the first one, day 14 will be the second, day 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70, so on and so forth. We know that there are 4 days of remembrance, first day of the first month, first day of the fourth, first day of the seventh, and first day of the 10th. We also know there are 13 weeks between those, and we know that we have 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31 days to a month to incorporate the 4 intercalary days. So let's go ahead and count and make sure there's 13 weeks between them. So here's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then we start all over again. And we know there are 2 days out of the year that have 9 parts day and 9 parts night. In the fall, that's going to be day 182 of the year. And in the spring, it's going to be day 364 of the year for 9 parts day and night, which is going to signify that the next day is the first day of the first month of the new year. That's how we reckon it all and count it all together. Oh, and I do not think I mentioned, with all of that, the first day of the first month, the 31st day of the year is the first day of the second month, the 61st day of the year is the first day of the third, 92nd day of the year is the first day of the fourth month, 122, 156, 183, 213, 243, and you can see so on and so forth. So when you're looking at the video, you'll know that this is the day corresponding with the month of the year. And this is kind of something, after a whole bunch of mess-ups, I was kind of putting together. I really don't like how it looks, but it was just kind of, see the 30, 30, 31, 30, 30, 31, for the days in there to have that. But I don't know. I know there's a lot more people way more creative than me out there, but just trying to make sense of it all and put what we can clearly see in Scripture and what we can read out there on paper. Because if there's anything off, then we're going to be off. And we have forgotten Shabbat. We've forgotten a lot of things. We've called unclean clean and clean unclean and made abominable days, feast days, just as we've read. And I don't want to do that anymore. In fact, this past year, about a year and a half, been about a year and a half or so, after reading it from Jubilees, I stopped celebrating the feast days, and because I didn't want to, not that I didn't want to, it's that I didn't want to do them incorrectly on the incorrect days until I could kind of have this back. And so even on Shabbats, I'm like, I'm not going to call this Shabbat, I'm going to practice Shabbat on this day, but I don't know if it's really Shabbat or not. I don't know the day, so I'm just going to kind of rehearse it, but even that didn't feel right. But now I'm kind of, with this, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I haven't personally observed this. I'm just going off of what I've seen brothers and sisters who have seen, they've claimed to see, and I don't believe that they're being deceitful or anything. I know, just like me, because I've tried to measure it, but I guess it was wrong day, or I didn't understand something, or maybe I'm just sucked at measuring that day, or as far as the shadow's concerned, but I did not get it. But I know it's going to be on one of these 2 days, so I basically went off that, and with what information I got from them, that's why I've got currently 9-month, 31st day, this is what I have in the book that you all saw, book 262, 9th moon, 16th day of the moon, 274th day of the year according to those who claim to follow the Zadok calendar, which then the Gregorian, December 17th, 2024. So because this is so precise, if ever I learn how to measure the parts of a day, I can then find whatever day we're on. Or if I'm able to know the equinoxes. Fall equinox is always going to be 182, spring's 364. And it's so precise, it's just a minor shift, and everything's fine. Anywho, if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for your attention. Whether you are part of Mishpacha, Achi, or an Achoti, a brother or sister, or whether you just, happened on this video, thank you so much for watching. And may this be a barakah to you, and may it help you to search the scriptures and find Abba's appointed times with me so that we can all worship him and praise him and love on him on his appointed times the way he would like them done, the way they've been done in the Shamayim. And thank you all so much for watching.